watching QTV this morning, and I am Jenna Bosonko, and I'm here with my co-host Julden Jai and our newspaper review guest Mr. Adedrami, and we hope that you all had an amazing weekend, and looking forward to the interesting conversations that we'll be having. Unfortunately, Ibrahim Abalde is not here today, and you know what? For some reason, he's not here, and I had a lot of things, a lot of bones to pick with him.
But we can still feel his
we can
presence.
we can still feel his presence, and I can still deal with him in a way.
Yeah.
But Julda, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
It's a pleasure, Jennifer. Good morning to you. Good morning to Mr. Ade and to our viewers. And good morning to Ibrahim Abalde. Yeah, we would have loved him to be around, but I'm going to like Jennifer, Bal's my brother. Balde, don't worry, I am here.
We miss
don't worry, your
when
sister
he's
is
not
here.
I'm sure the viewers miss him too.
Yes.
He's a very popular fellow. So yeah.
How was your weekend, Julda?
Amazing. I get to spend time with my family and all that. My grandfather was around and all of that. So it was fun.
Nice.
Really. Yeah.
You're that used to your grandfather? Do you have that joking relationship?
I do.
That's nice.
We are really close and all of that. So, and he's really a funny person.
Okay.
Wherever he is, like, you laugh and all of that.
That's really
so
nice.
he's always that jovial person.
Right.
So it
Good.
was
It's
a nice
good
weekend.
It's nice to have the granddad, and granddaughter relationship. It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. I had my grandfather was a very laid back guy, very, very calm. I never ever heard him raise his voice at anybody.
Nice.
But he wasn't the kind of jokey type. I mean, we lived with it, or he lived with us for a time. But yeah, it was a good relationship. But he was somebody who was very much into dressing up.
Really?
Gosh, he would get us. And in the end, we ended up enjoying it because he would get us to polish about 12 pairs of shoes.
Whoa.
And then in the morning he would decide which one he was going to wear.
Whoa, that's a classic granddad.
And then the next day
Fashionista.
he'd tell you guys to polish the same pair of shoes. We started out resenting it, but in the end we love it. And then
You
we look,
enjoyed it.
see if you could see your face in. Yeah. Even when he retired, he would get dressed up in a suit and tie and waistcoat just to come down and have breakfast and read newspapers all day.
Nice.
Seriously.
I like that vibe.
Wow.
He's
Yeah.
so
He's a
positive.
cool dude.
He's a chilled one.
Yeah.
But for me, my grandfather, we didn't have the grandfather-granddaughter relationship because he was more like my father than a grandfather because he, like, my grandparents raised me.
You. Right.
So it was more of like, because I used to even call him Papa.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
instead of like a grandfather because obviously he raised me. So it was not that kind of, granddaughter, grandfather kind of vibe. It was more of a father kind of vibe that existed. But he's late now, but whatever the case, I'm still grateful because I can remember how he used to take me back to primary school to collect my report cards. He was so concerned about me being educated.
And can I just say, for anybody who is not in the Gambia, when she says he's late now, it means he's dead.
Passed away.
He passed away. Okay. So here they say somebody is late now. Outside
Mr.
of
Adin,
Gambia.
why are you hating on me?
I'm not hating. I'm just explaining for the non-Gambians.
Okay, he
For the
passed away. Like I said,
he passed away.
yes, he
Or
passed.
he kicked the
He's
bucket.
late now.
No, it's
So
don't be like
she
that.
doesn't mean
he
he's
passed
late
away
coming to the
peacefully,
studio.
but he was really a really good man because he was really caring and being that father figure when obviously a dad wasn't
Mashallah.
there and all of that. So
No, my grandfather passed away too, and in the strangest circumstance. I was saying about him getting dressed and coming down for breakfast. He came down for breakfast one day, exactly a week after my father had died, and he was living with us. I was in England at the time, and he sat down at breakfast, and before he could even have his breakfast, they realized he wasn't moving, and that was it. He was dead.
really,
Yeah, he
just
was-
like that.
He came down to breakfast fully dressed, sat at the table,
Oh my God.
and my mother, imagine, she just buried her husband a week ago, and then her own dad
Oh wow, that
dies
must
in
have
front
been
of her.
Yeah,
So it was quite, quite
that was
traumatic.
that was
But,
traumatic.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
traumatic.
But he was a lovely fellow.
Yeah,
I mean,
at least
so
whatever the
we
case,
have
he
good
lived the
memories of
life.
it. He
Yeah.
lived the life.
Yes,
he lived the life.
that's the most important
Yeah.
thing.
He wasn't
lived the
boring.
life.
Yeah.
So moving on, Julda, I think we have a quote or a proverb. I don't know which one we have. Maybe you
Okay.
want to take us through.
Yeah.
So our quote or proverb reads, someday it's not a day of the week.
Yes.
Someday
It's not a day.
Well, when you go to somebody and they say, when can you do this for me? They say, I'll do it someday. rather that I'll do it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
You're
whatever.
not being specific.
So
it can be another day of another month.
You know,
yes.
someday
Or another year.
You know, someday could be any time, not just now.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess that's what they're getting at. You know, that there are things that need to be done by a certain time, by a certain day, but somebody will tell you, oh, I'll do it someday.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the kind of indecision, it never gets done.
Yeah.
You know, because you're always putting it off. You're always, I'll get around to it someday. But, you know, if you say I'll get around to it on Thursday, then everybody
that
knows.
Is specific.
By Thursday, you're being specific, and boom, Thursday, Friday said, have you done it? He said, no, I told you someday. But, but yeah, so I guess that's kind of what it's.
Yeah, maybe like a kind of procrastination. How people like just procrastinate things because the someday can be a year later, 2030 or something. Like the person is not like giving you assurance as to what they can do for you.
And it's not me hating on Gambians.
Yeah.
So like when I call some of you guys and you, where are you? You said, I'm not far. What does that tell me?
Why are you hating on Julian just raised her hand.
I know he's referring to me.
No. Like, everybody does
but
it.
why is Ade hating?
No, everybody
Ade
does
is
it.
hating
Everybody
on you.
does it. Everybody does it. It's like, you know,
I'm not far from, I'm not far.
I'll
be there
your
shortly.
far and my far might be different. So tell me where you are.
Exactly.
You know, that's why I asked you, where are you?
But at the end of the day, Mr. Ade, you are a streets name person. Even if I tell you, okay, if you ask me, where are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm under the tree next
building.
So building. You will not also be happy.
But if I know that building gives me a sense
at
of
least,
you know,
how many minutes?
Opposite the you know, Sadada Kairaba Center or something like that, then I know, okay, it might take you a while to get here, but I'm not far. That doesn't mean you could be in Basse.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
we take it.
Yeah.
But it's a general thing.
We take it.
It's you know, and you know, where are you? People say I'm on the way coming.
It's a Gambian thing.
It's a Gambian thing.
Yeah,
but generally, I think procrastination is also a sick. Like it's really crazy when you procrastinate things, and I think all of us go through procrastinating things one over or another.
Times.
I've done it a lot, and sometimes I'm like, what can I do to change this?
Right.
You know, because it affects a lot of things.
Well, it does. I mean, because there are times when you know you've got something to do and you keep putting it off. That thing is not going to go away.
Yes, it's going to.
So you know, deal with it, do it. You know, and you know, I'm kind of smiling because there's a project that I'm supposed to be doing in relation to the OIC Summit, 4th and 5th of May. That I was meant to be doing yesterday, but it felt like work because I was working on it till 10 o'clock, and I thought, you know what, let me go to bed.
Yeah, let me relax.
Because you know, it's like Sunday is my only day when I'm not in the office, and here I am working till 10:30. You know, you know. So yeah, I should have sent it out yesterday, but I'll send it out after this program.
Yeah,
because I just thought, you know, give yourself at least a couple of hours to yourself.
But that one is healthy. That's not procrastination because you worked on it at the end of the day.
True.
You did your part. It's just, you know, telling yourself that I need a break. You know, so what do you procrastinate on the most, Julde?
On a lot of things. Trust me. On a daily basis, I have my to-do list. Just like one of my friends, she's my best friend actually. For her, she will always write her to-do list every single day, and she will make sure she sticks to that.
I only do that.
Like there was a day I badly needed to see her, like to have a conversation with her, and she was like, I have my to-do list, and I needed to do this, and I needed to finish.
I can't see you.
And I was mad.
You're not on my list.
I was not on her list, and I was mad. I was
disciplined.
Seriously, Fatima is so disciplined. I was like, really? Now your to-do list is more important than me?
Yeah, you have to book an appointment, girl.
Yeah, she's really decided. I mean, on everything she does in her life. Yeah. For me, it happens a lot. Sometimes you do things and it does not work your way and all of that. It happens a lot, really.
Yeah, I'm very much not like Fatima.
Fatima, no, really. Fatima is the girl who will
somebody is a friend says to me, I need to speak to you urgently. Trust me, my to-do list will go to the side. But yeah, everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
It's good to be decisive sometimes. That's why it's good to set out goals in your life every single day. That is why during New Year's Eve or New Year's resolution, I said it here, you don't have to set out resolutions only on New Year's or, you know, on weekly or monthly basis, but it has to be every day. Set out your goals and, you know, do your best to achieve your goals and objectives. I think that is very important. I think that is why for Fatima, really,
she's on the right track.
She's that mad girl.
Okay.
She's not a lawyer.
She doesn't.
She's a lawyer, really. I'm like, seriously, I'm not on your to-do list. And for me, anytime I call, I will ask her, am I on your to-do list today?
Okay, nice. That's good.
Worth asking that
for
question.
me, I think I decide on what I procrastinate on. I decide as a person, you know. There are certain things, for example, something that's going to bring me money, I'm not going to procrastinate on it. Okay. Never, never, never. Because
money.
it's at the bag, okay? So I don't it's a bad habit, but I kind of decide on inside of me what I procrastinate on. There are certain things that are like of a high priority.
Exactly, it's about priority.
Money, I can't procrastinate on it. Capacity building, I can't. Just things that is going to lead to my improvement as an individual, I cannot in any way procrastinate it. So I think at some point, it's a decision that you make to yourself based on a scale of preference or something that you have as to what I'm supposed to achieve at what time. Because there are just certain things that when you don't do them at a time, you can do them later. But that later that you're doing, it's not a convenient time for you because you don't know what tomorrow holds or something.
And also there are some things you need to do them when they need to be done.
Yes, you have
and
to.
You cannot keep putting them off because eventually
they always have a way of coming back.
They're coming back to bite you, or you haven't given yourself enough time because you didn't do it. Like we've all been guilty of that.
Yeah. So let's move on to current affairs now, Julde. Before we came on the program, you were talking about the cabinet reshuffle, which, you know, the president on Friday announced a cabinet reshuffle, and this affected about 4 ministries, I believe. The Ministry of Information, the Ministry of Petroleum, also the Ministry of Tourism and Education.
Basic education.
Yeah, and 2 institutions, government institutions, which is PURA as well as NAWEC.
Yeah.
So these are the 2 institutions affected. So what's your take on that, Mr. Ade?
I mean,
whole reshuffling thing.
We had a discussion because for many months there'd been discussions and talk that the president was going to reshuffle. Yeah. And then when it happened, somebody said, oh, I've seen the press release, it doesn't give a reason. The president never has to give a reason.
For a reshuffle.
For a reshuffle. The president can reshuffle when he feels like it. And then we started discussing what the process is likely to have been. If somebody is going to be removed or relieved of their duties completely, protocol normally says that the president will call that person and explain to them why they are being moved. Either they've moved to another ministry or they're being removed altogether. You know, and you know, sometimes people say, oh, maybe they were displeased with this somebody. Well, maybe it's not that necessarily. You might just think that this ministry needs a fresh impetus, fresh injection of you know, something. And that's what I'm intending to do with it. But also it keeps the others on their toes. Everybody knows, okay, as a minister, my position is not carved in stone. I can be changed at any time. Because there's no you know, there's no sort of time limit when he can do it. He can do it at any time. Even having done this, he could do another one next week, you know, should he decide to do so. So, yeah, I mean, lots of interesting ones. But one of the debates that came up is that, oh, you've chosen somebody, just for random example, Ismaila Sise, you know,
has no background.
Why? He's a political science lecturer.
Political science lecturer. But, you know, as I was explaining before we came on air, for the minister, you don't have to have that particular discipline. So if you're Minister of Health, you don't have to be a doctor. If you're Minister of Defense, you don't have to be a soldier. You know, the people...
It's an administrative work.
Well, this is it. And you set the agenda, and you have people who are competent, your permanent secretaries, your deputy permanent secretaries. They are the technocrats. They are the people with the technical knowledge and the institutional knowledge of that particular ministry, and they can guide you, or they should guide you. So essentially, you can put anybody in any position if you think they're intelligent enough to work with the people who are there. So, you know, for me, I didn't kind of felt, oh, why have they put this person there? You can put anyone there. I mean, I worked in government in the UK, and several times, when I was at the Department for Business, I think I must have worked with about 8 different ministers because such were the changes that came. And many of them had no background in business, and yet it was, Department for Trade and Industry. It started out, it became the Department for Business. But yeah, they worked with us and we worked with them because it was our job to know that, okay, last week we were working with somebody else.
Yeah.
And what you do get, though, is that when the person comes, all of them come with their own agenda. They always want to say, the reason the Prime Minister, in the case of the UK, put me here is because he or she thinks that I can make a change there. So I don't want to just follow what my predecessor did. I want to leave my own mark. I want to leave my... So that was the kind of headache for us because they would give you a long list of things. These are the things I want to do. And some of them would say things like, I want you to fix interviews for me every day, for example. There was one minister, and we had to do that for newspapers, for TV, for radio. He wanted to be in the media every single day. And you had to deliver on that, So, because he felt that business was important and that there are different messages that he wanted to get out every day. I mean, sometimes it was a headache because for some of them, even when you advise them or you brief them, they go off script.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I once did one. I won't name the person, but
you see, that's the problem with bringing people who have no idea about what they are doing.
Yeah, but they kind of have an idea about it. Because one minister.
But there's somebody directing them. It's a matter of
you
taking
can try
instruction.
because there's a very popular show in England, the BBC One show, and I went backstage with the minister and I gave him the briefing. First of all, sent him the briefing 1 week before. And I asked, have you read it? He said, yes. As we were about to go into the studio, he said, by the way, what's the briefing about? I was like, what? And then when he went, he just freestyled.
Ooh.
Luckily, it was a recorded program. And believe me, and I'm not making this up, out of 10 minutes when he was interviewed, they could only use 1 minute. Because I called them and I said, luckily, I had
a relationship with the
BBC
people there.
because I also worked.
I had with a minister.
Yeah, because I also worked at the BBC, So I said to them, look, if you went out with what he said, it will embarrass him because he's claiming that he's going to do things that the law does not allow him to do.
So you see, Mr. Ade, that's the problem.
Really. But you need to have that good relationship with him. And of course, when he went out, he was like, why do they only have 1 minute of me? So I had to explain to him that, well, Minister, what you said would have been illegal.
For me, really, I don't think I'm in for appointing ministers who don't have any idea what the ministry is all about.
Any idea. They need to be intelligent people. So, come on.
It takes time.
Okay, so Ministry of Defense.
Really?
You have to have an ex-soldier?
Not ex-soldier necessarily, but at least you should be able to be au fait with what, that particular ministry to know. We've seen ministers here, I mean, they've been there for a long time and still they cannot adapt to the situation. They can't adapt. They barely know their ministry. And it takes time. It takes a lot of time, and it wastes taxpayers' money and all of that. So for me, really, I am against appointing anyone who is not au fait with that particular ministry, really, because it takes time for the person to learn.
Okay, let me come in here. For example, let me say something. For example,
exactly.
Permanent secretaries rotate Julde.
Yeah, quite.
Permanent, even and the permanent secretaries are the technocrats.
It's what is called a mobile grade.
Yeah, they move around, and the reason, most of these ministries, they are so connected because there are certain problems they need to solve in society that requires collaborative effort. So these permanent secretaries have to move from one ministry to another to have a general understanding of how everything works, because then they have to connect to other ministries to also get certain things done. So you have to move around.
You just need intelligent people.
Yes, you have to be smart. Be an administrator, be a leader.
You brief them. And if they are people who take briefing, that's a different subject altogether.
Yeah.
Somebody who refuses to be briefed, then that person is going to fail.
Yeah.
But as a minister, you have to be guided by your civil servants.
For example, aside from that, the president,
regardless of whether you have a background.
This way, the president, right? The president is not a defense guy.
Quite.
The president is not
a health guy.
The president is not a tourism guy. But
it's different.
The president, no. But the president
Minister
has
of
to make
Agriculture
decisions.
has to have been a farmer. No, you can't say that.
I'm saying you have to be a specialist or a farmer, but at least you
have
should
an idea
as to what this is.
What do you mean by having an idea?
Okay, some of these ministers who are
doesn't have an idea about agriculture?
Some of these ministers who are really appointed in these areas, it will take them like few months or even a year to adapt to the situation, which really takes time.
But listen, we can't tell. What can we use to measure that?
We know, come on, we know how these things work. Sometimes it's the permanent secretaries. We all know that they are the technocrats. They are the things that do the administrative.
That's why you are guided by them.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why
but
you
some
should be
of
guided
these
by
ministers,
no, you're talking about a different thing altogether. Honestly, you're not seeing it, because what I'm saying is that if you are a minister, you have to entrust those people to, when they give you a briefing, that briefing, when you read it, you sound like an expert because you've read it.
That's your role.
But if you decide not to read it, that's you.
Earlier on, you mentioned that the president has to set the agenda. How do you set the agenda if you don't have any idea as to what the ministry is about?
That's why on
your day one as a minister, they give you a briefing file of what the important issues are in your ministry. Yeah. It is your job to read it. It is your job to read it. Whether you were a minister the day before or a journalist the day before, you read that file and you bring yourself up to speed with what the important things are.
For example,
and then you say, okay, now this is what I'm going to see as these are the things I want to do. Because, look, even before you were appointed, you probably had an idea or a view about that ministry. Of course.
But also, for example, people are saying Dr. Cisse should not be appointed information minister. What did he study? Political science.
Right.
Government has everything to do with politics and how countries react to each other and all of that. So to be information minister does not mean you have to go study communications or journalism. You cannot. The substance will not be there.
It helps. It helps. Really, my point is.
Okay, Julde.
It really helps. It's 2 against 1, but I still stick to my.
We're just trying to look at the broader perspective.
Because the thing is, if you look at the range of ministries, I've given you some examples. I've given you agriculture. I've given you defense. There is no way that somebody has. You keep saying they need to be au fait. You just need to be somebody who is intelligent and who can read.
And if you are not intelligent,
then that's on the president. The president needs to get the smart people there.
That's a different thing.
That's his fault.
But for you to say you need to be au fait or you need to have a background, well, give me a background. I've given you agriculture. I've given you defense. Those are just random ones. I've given you trade. So you need to have been a businessman? No, absolutely not. I don't accept that.
But moving on, the OIC Summit.
I still stick to a leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. If you are not that, you are not a leader.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, it's not a different thing. It's still the same thing.
But anyway, moving on, the OIC Summit is confirmed that it will take place in the Gambia from the 4th to the 5th of May 2024. Preparations are...
That's the one for the heads of state.
The heads of states, I mean, yes.
Ministers are coming.
Yes.
From those countries.
Yeah, but actually the main one is the 4th to the 4th and the 5th of May. Yes. And preparations are in high gear. The spirit is coming up. I'm sure by April, everybody will be extremely excited because for some reason, the OIC Summit, Gambians have been excited to host it for a very long time to an extent that every year when it cancels, they'll be so angry and all of that. So finally it's happening.
It's going to happen.
Yes.
And also, I think what happened on Saturday was a beautiful thing because you had people from the 2 main religions in this country came together. You had chiefs, you had alcalos, you had
local leaders.
You had people from civil society. You had people from National Youth, Council. Because really, the point is, yes, it's an Islamic summit, but everybody in the Gambia will benefit from it.
Yeah.
In terms of the infrastructure, in terms of everything that will come with it, the trade that will come with it. And I think that was the message that they were trying to put. This belongs to all of us.
Yeah.
It's not just, one person and so on. Like they said, when it rains on everybody, not just on Christians or Muslims or whatever. And the benefits, the roads that we drive on are for everybody. The sort of the bridges that are being built, everything, potentially we can all benefit from it. And I think that's the message we have to get across, that let's take ownership of this and let's make it a success.
We should.
We
because should be proud.
If it fails, it's the Gambia that has failed.
At the end of the day.
Not the Muslims in the Gambia or whatever. It's everybody. And that's why, we're trying to get this message out.
Yeah.
That, and I should admit now that I've been drafted onto the media subcommittee.
Nice.
So, we're having meetings every week.
Nice.
Leading up to the summit. But because, we want to get the message out there. And one of the messages we want to get out is this belongs
to
everybody.
the whole country.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we've been talking about this, Julde, for a very long time, that, you know, the projects do not have to necessarily be completed 100% for the summit to take place. The feeder roads are not done.
They're not done.
And, you know, this is happening. So it's about, it's going to continue. And it's not
I think
like...
from now, I think it's like 40 days
yes,
to go. So it's quite close.
And also people need to know that it's not like immediately after 5th of March, the Secretariat will close.
Of May.
The you know, 4th of May to 5th.
Yeah.
The Secretariat will be operational to ensure that all of the projects are happening normally and all of that. So it's about the projects, because this is just a 2-day thing. The main event, apart from the ministerial, is just a 2-day thing. But it's about the bridges and, you know, the flyovers that are going to stay with us forever. I think that is the most important thing.
It is really. I think we should not politicize this, because in the Gambia we tend to politicize everything and anything.
Right.
So we should see it as a Gambian thing and support it, and, you know, to make it a success. We all have a role to play as far as the summit is concerned. You know, exercising discipline on the road, making sure that the country is clean and all of that. We all have a role to play as far as this summit is concerned. So yeah, politicizing it is one thing, and then, you know, we should all get involved. It's a concerted effort in order to make it a success. Like Mr. Ade mentioned earlier, we should also try to portray the beautiful side of the country. Every country has their butts. Every country has their ugly side. But as the smiling coast of Africa, it's good to showcase the, you know, beautiful side of this country. Yeah, this is our opportunity to explore on the different things that we have on the nature, on our beaches, you know, on the stone circles here, on our nature reserve, on different things in this country, really.
Our spirit of hospitality.
Hospitality.
Because
which stands out.
What is happening or will happen is unprecedented. Yes, we've had OAU here, but this is, you've got 56 heads of state visiting, so there are 57 member states and territories. The world's attention will be on the Gambia.
For the number of days.
For those days.
Yes.
For those days.
Yes.
For the days leading up to it and the days after it.
Yeah.
And of course the days of the actual summit itself. So when you have that, we say no pressure, but you said about, you know, let's make it clean and so on. When I drove past the flyover at Coastal Road yesterday, it's like it's like a dustbin. People are using it as a dustbin.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's quite disgraceful.
And
And that's a habit that we have to get out of, because not just for the summit, but for ourselves and for the future. You know, this kind of using, you know, public spaces as dustbins has to end, really. But even as I was driving yesterday, the car in front of me, I think they do it deliberately because they know I'm behind them. You know, somebody just threw a cup out onto the road, as people do. I mean, you see that every day. It's because it's so normalized now. And then you look and you see cups strewn the length of the road. We really have to stop that, really. You know.
So as we speak, the National Assembly is currently being occupied by pro
and anti
you know, FGM groups currently, and the debate will be held today.
Second reading.
Second reading, you know, will be today. And it is, I mean, like you said the last time, let's just allow everybody to voice out their opinion. And the fact that at some point, it's going to reach at a point where we all have to come together to have a conversation, because forcing or insulting each other online and all of that,
which I see a lot of. It's been very divisive.
It's been, yes, that is not going to solve the problem, because you hear some Islamic scholars saying, oh, if you guys keep insulting or pushing us, we will go and marry off our 13-year-olds, you know, and then the other side will also say this. So I think that is not healthy. It's about us coming together and understanding what is there to be understood, and then we forge ahead.
Yeah, but it would be interesting to see whether, because the bill could live or die today, depending on who votes and who abstains, will determine whether it goes through to a third reading.
Yeah, or not.
And then third reading, then it would have to go to committee stage. And then committees look at it and then they bring it back for a vote. And then, of course, if it's passed, it goes to the president. Yeah. For assent. So there are all these processes.
Yeah, it's a long process. It's not as easy as we think.
No, it's not. Really. But today is a very important day. The debate, I suspect, will go on for more than a day. But today is when it starts, as in the second reading. Yeah. Because a lot of National Assembly members have already indicated that they want to get up to speak on the subject. So it will be very interesting. But today is the day, and as you rightly say, from about 6 a.m. I saw people were already there outside, mainly opponents of repeal, I have to say, from the pictures I saw, but there might have been others. And so, I think it'll be one of those days when the National Assembly will be packed to the
Yes, it looks really packed.
As they said,
Yeah.
And I just hope that some of the members will not abstain deliberately.
They will.
Yes,
because it happens during the draft constitution.
Some will.
We'll have the same thing, I suspect, many of them.
Yeah, because some will not want to show if they're in for it or not. Anyway.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because what would be interesting is that when in the previous session of the parliament, many of them got up to speak in favor of the repeal.
Yeah.
There was a queue of 30, and I think only 20 were able to speak because of time. And they were all, to my knowledge, I think only one, but all of them spoke in favor of repeal.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see if all of those people
will still
speak and vote,
yeah,
or abstain. So it'll be it's an interesting dilemma for them. Yeah. But
no need to abstain. Just come and
vote. Huh? I mean, you are voted to come and talk on controversial issues. It reminds me of
easy
to
don't just vote on the easy stuff. You show your strength, your bravery, your
during the hard times.
On the hard times, when you have to vote on difficult things.
But decide to abstain on an issue
like they did
on
the Constitution. They just bottled it. People just chickened out.
Yeah, it's chicken out. That's the right word.
When we heard about how many people abstained, then you knew that the draft Constitution, good as it was, wasn't going to get through. So, and if they bring it back, they need to change a few things. Otherwise, we'll get the same
individuals
debacle again, where people just bail out and don't even bother to stay to vote. Well,
thank you so much, Mr. Ade, for joining us on the program.
Pleasure.
It's always good to have you here. We had a little debate, but it's open for people to think about things.
Minor debate.
Minor, a little one.
The real one is happening.
Yeah, the real one is happening down there about, reshuffles. That is the beauty of democracy, where people, decide what they feel is right for their government or not, even though we know we do not have the direct influence, but our opinion matters as well at the end of the day.
Really.
And the Ramadan is going so fast.
10 days.
Is it just me? I think it's so fast, you guys.
I don't trust you, Jennifer.
Nobody trusts me, but it's okay.
Nobody trusts you what?
That I'm not fasting. Nobody trusts me. But I'm at a point in life, if you can understand me or not, it's okay. Like how King Promise said it. If you understand me or not, it's okay. It's about what I think internally. But she's just teasing me and what I know. But it's be honest, it's going on so fast.
It's going on fast and smoothly, unlike the previous Ramadans where you see people.
But Friday was hot.
I'm glad you mentioned that because
was tough.
Friday was tough. I couldn't walk at some point.
I was coming to work this morning and it came on the news that in Sudan they've predicted a heat wave for the next 2 weeks, and it's 45 degrees Celsius. So children have been told not to go to school. And then Choi said that he heard on Al Jazeera the forecast for the Gambia, and they're predicting the same for here. Heat wave.
For when?
Gambia.
For when?
For this week.
I was in Gambia.
Mr. Ade, this heat. Friday was crazy.
Friday was hot.
Friday was hot.
So when people came to the office claiming, "Oh, it's hot," I said, "Yes, you're in Africa," but it was hot.
It was really dehydrating. So generally, I think people should just take as much fluids as they can during Zuhur and Iftar, just to make sure that you kind of replace what you lost.
It's tough. It's tough to fast in those conditions.
Yes, it's really tough. But thank you so much, Mr. Ade, for joining us. So the OIC Secretariat is now part of our official sponsors on this morning.
Oh,
yes. And we are so happy to have them.
I didn't even know that.
Yes, so we're so happy to have them come on board to support the program, and at the same time, putting out their agenda out there when it comes to ensuring that Gambians know that we're hosting the summit. Finally, it's not a scam. We're finally hosting it in May, and we're super excited about what this summit will bring to the Gambia.
Okay, so I can declare here that I've actually written an op-ed which will be in the newspapers today.
Nice.
Kind of telling people to come on board. For the summit.
Exactly.
So it should appear in the newspapers today.
Yeah, it's great. So you have to just do what you can. What Julda said is really important about, even if it takes cleaning your streets, because we have visitors coming. You know, even if it takes having your flag up, like just do something that will, you know, ensure that we are all together in this, you know, because this is not a small thing, you know, so we have to embrace it.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah. So we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to a discussion on Ramadan and Islam and everything. We'll be right back.
The Gambia is proud to host the 15th OIC Summit on the 4th and 5th May 2024, the second largest gathering of world leaders, kings, presidents, rulers, prime ministers, along with delegates from 57 member countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will gather in our beloved nation for this historic event. The theme of the summit is enhancing unity and solidarity through dialogue for sustainable development. It's a platform to foster cooperation, promote peace, and drive sustainable development across the Ummah and the world at large. We call on all Gambians to unite and support the government as it strives to host a memorable and successful event. Let's showcase our hospitality, culture, and the beauty of the Gambia to the world. Join us in making history. Let's stand together, united as one, to ensure the 15th OIC Summit in the Gambia is an event to remember. Together, we can make a difference.
The future is now. With QCell's 5G network, experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fixed Internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
QCell moy suñu boss. QCell moy suñu boss. QCell moy suñu boss. Go, ebe dawa full network suda tili QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata QCell. Most reliable network jumala keta wati QCell. Wo quality man nyon soda jam ona manke QCell. Hanibe wulo ni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network ko se taria QCell suñu boss. Nyo finjeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus, and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Gambia bela nyon tawa fele QCell. Ko fasun tawa buka busi QCell. Itella molti milka kukutol nati Gambia. QCell made a lori la kilianol yele imanjina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be keno ma. QCell sunibus. QCell sunibus. QCell sunibus. QCell sunibus. Connect solo be bambandi QCell sunibus. QCell most innovative QCell sunibus.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And now, Julde, from Nekani, then you're just shifting attention to Ramadan, and you don't discuss how the first 10 days numgawe. Ñu fi am Imam Ousmane Ba te ñu accuse na ma fi mu ne 10 days bi daal dafa gaaw te man daal foog na leen moom gaaweewut noonu si moom so ndax man ori kër lay def ndax ori office lañ no ori office waaw ori office wala ban lay def waaye dëgg bi mooy the 10 days went on so fast and léegi tey ñu dugga si because normally first 10 days bi su demee rek ñu dugga si second the last 10 days daf day intensive moom
waaw dëgg first bi ak last bi moo dee tough in most cases because bu digga bi fekk nit ñi miin nañ already waaw so Imam I guess first 10 days yi comme ni ma ko waxee passé na ba pare waaye generally gis nañ ne last 10 days yi yooyu lañ dee gën a nit ñi di gën a dem julli ji you know di gën a ñaan during that period so maybe mun nga ñoo just take through last 10 days yi lan la si yàlla santaane ak naka lañ ko war a doxale because fi mu nekk nii moom ñu ngi koo waajal ba pare
maa ngi leen a nuyu di nuyu Julde Jeynaba ak mboolem ñi seetaan xam nga weeru koor yàlla daf ko xaaj ñetti xaaj xaaj bu nekk dafa am lu mu signifié maanaam lu muy junju fukk yu njëkk yi yërmande la miin ne képp koo xam ne jànkuwante nga ak fukk yu njëkk yi def ci li la yàlla wax am nga yërmande yàlla fukk yi ci topp njéggal la képp koo xam ne or nga fukk yooyu def ci li ci war yàlla jéggal na la lépp loo ko musa def fukk yi nga xam ne nag moo mujj boobu goreel la ci safara mooy yàlla daf laa goreel mooy ne da nga nekkoon jaam wala da nga nekkoon koo xam ne da nga offenda nga woon so yàlla léegi teggil na la loolu ba léegi dootoo duggati safara te xam nga julit ak lu mun di am mu mucc ci safara mooy priorité bi njëkk ci àdduna ndax safara moom amul leneen lu ko gën a woos amul leneen loo mun a am loo xam ne di nga ko mun a tëkkaleet kon fukk yu njëkk yi loolu moo tax mu am solo mu ngay jeex si ñaari fan moo ci des waaye ba léegi mun na laa bañ a rëcc su fekkee ne da nga sàgganoon ñaari fan yi des da nga war a takk sa ndigga nga góorgóorlu ci jaamu ci yàlla waaye fukk yu mujj yi nag dafa am benn important bu mu am bu bokkut ak yeneen yi ngir ne moom dañ ci gën a njortu ne laylatul xadri ci la nekk maanaam yonent bi moo ne woon nañ ko seet ci fukk yu mujj yi te nañ ko seet ci bés yu toll te laylatul xadri soo tasee ak moom ci weeru koor bi soo ci jaamoo yàlla dina ko nangu ba pare daf la koy soppil mu nekk 1000 month maanaam junniy weer nag mooy 83 years few months so loolu nga am opportunity bu mel noonu amut feneen ci at bi yëpp 12 months yi nga am yëpp amuloo fa benn opportunity bu toll noonu loolu moo tax fukk yu mujj yi am important waaye nag bum tax nga sàggan ci fukk yu njëkk yi nga sàggan ci fukk yu ñaareel ndax li laa yóbbu si fukk yu mujj yi yaa ngi ko jëlee ci fukk yu njëkk yi ak yu ñaareel so da ngaa gis ne loolu lu am njëriñ la beneen bi si topp yaa ngi doon wax ne koor gi dafa gaaw waaw xam naa ne julde moom xëy na
julde nanguwu ko
waaw
man rek a ko nangu
xam nga
te man ma sant Sonko si kaw loolu kon war nañoo seetaat julde nag
xam naa ne
julde Njaay la sant de
ñu ragal koor ñi moom
waaw
su ko njóobeen yi déggee dinañ ko sumi
waaw dafa jara simi sax
waaw li ko dee waral lu bari la mooy soo bàyyee xel koor yi ren bi dafa ñëw tombé ak yëngu-yëngu yu bari activités yi dañ bari soo xëyee yaa ngi daw si lii daw si lele loolu mooy tax su bés bi di romba doo ko di gaaw a yëg man doo maanaam bés yi tàng moom di nga ko xam bés yu métti yi di nga ko xam
Friday bu passé moom amul fen de
ñëpp a ko
yëg nga ko dama foogoon ne ñun rek a ko yëg
ñun ñëpp a ko yëg
ñëpp a ko yëg
waaw man yàlla dafa dogal bés boobu ma busy trop waaw boole nekk ci liggéey di dem di ñëw so da ngaa gis ne métit bi ñëpp a ko bi ma demee kër am na ñu maa tooñ sax biñ ñëwee ku ma laajte rek ma ne leen maa ngi si biir tëdd naa so ku ma laajte rek ma ne ko tëdd naa so loolu mu ngi bokk ci dëgg-dëgg koor jom la ak gëm yàlla jom ak gëm yàlla mooy tax nit di koor ndax xoolal coono boobu bés boobu ak tàngaay bu métti boobu nga wéet yow kenn nekku fa
waaw
mun ngaa def lu la neex kenn du la waaye soo gisee nit di woor rek am na ragal yàlla mooy xelaat na ne moom lii su ko defee digganteem ak yàlla moo tax yàlla ne koor maa ko moom man rek la ñuy ooral mun ngaa julli pour nit ñi gis la mun ngaa def leneen pour ne waaye wéet sa néeg nga oor ndox nekk fa lépp nekk fa lekkuloo naanuloo kooku yàlla rek a tax moo tax nag mu ne koor maa ko moom kon du ma ebal benn malaaka mu di ma rekoodal o mu di ma feyal borom ma di ko yónni déedéet man maa koy feyal suma bopp maanaam dañoo jëflante directly kon lu fukk yu mujj lu am solo la tey tamit war nañoo takka suñ digga pour gën a góorgóorlu ci dundal ko gën a góorgóorlu yi tamit ci koor gi
waaw wax nga ne first 10 days yi comme nit ki yërmande la ndax nit ki waruta saagaan foofu noonu lan nga foog ne nit loolu la war a def si first 10 days yi
waaw xam nga julde maanaam doomu aadama bi li nga mun si loolu la yàlla di xool maanaam santuñ la pour nga ëppal santuñ kenn pour mu def loo xam ne dafay sonna ba du mun a tee def liñ bëgg mooy nga tànn loo xam ne mun nga ko ba pare nga continuer saxal ko li nga ci war a mun a njëkk a def mooy nit ku nekk war naa riit alxuraan xam naa ne su ma ko waxee jeena ba dafay wax ne man de du ma dee riit alxuraan lu bari waaye riit alxuraan miinut ne
it comes in different ways because social media
exactly
bés boobu
yaa
rek
ngi am
ay
sa
chance
gadget
fi woon
si
léegi your gadgets with that you can learn
mun ngaa soo munut sax soo munut yow si sa bopp sax defal voice boo xam ne ni dafa réciter ngay dégloo ba pare am na yi nga xam ne dafa am voice ak ngay read
with the text
waaw yaa ngay read li moo wax ifin xamuloo ko waaye sa bët bi si tegee rek loolu yàlla daf la koo fay woot si nii sa bët bi ko gis nii di ko xool noonu rek dañ la say fay dégga bi ko sa nopp bi di dégga voice bu neex boobu noonu ñuy jàng alxuraan nga fexe am sa earpieces nga def ko sa nopp yi ngay déglu alxuraan loolu ku ne war na see góorgóorlu ci moment ni weeru koor beneen bi si topp mooy li nga mun ci sa wërsëg nga xam ne mun nga ko xam nga léeg-léeg suñ ne joxe wala kii da ngay foog da nga war a am thousands non just benn $200 benn $100 benn $50 am na ki nga xam ne loolu mun na koo jox ndogu tey ci génnee ko si sa poos nga ne lii de dama ko bëgg a jaamoo yàlla nga seet nii di patience koo xam ne nii ku ko soxla la nga ne ko lii maa la ko jox pour nga ndogoo ko ifin na nekk benn bés rek loolu nga am
waaw
soo defal loolu beneen bi ci des mooy fexeel ba balaa ngaa tëdda wala balaa ngaa nelaw bi guddi bi ba mu jeex na nga am loo ci jagle bu dee benn 5 minutes la nga ne lii maa ko jox suma borom ci guddi gi nga jóg jàppa julli 2 rakka wala 4 rakka wala juróom benn rakka yaa xam li nga mën su dee 2 rakka kese la
loolu dafa utee naafila bi
naafila ma naafila la rek mooy naafila dafa am i façon naafila bi ñoo def àndaa nit ñi dem julli nangam
it's different from the alone time
da nga war a jagleel sa boppa léeg-léeg guddi gi nga jóg si time boo xam ne 4 o'clock la before xëdda wala da nga koo def naka latest balaa ngaa tëdda ay 12 yaa ngay waaj a tëdda nga jóg jàppa julli 2 rakka ngir jéblu si rek pour dundal guddi gi loolu lu am solo la lu nit war a def ci time boobu
waaw moving on li nga wax am na solo torop social media moom léegi is so easy especially during our time now where you can actually use social media to educate yourself bu dee amuloo woon opportunity bi but moving on the last 10 days yi sometimes ñun as jigéen sometimes dañ dee gis suñ period during the last 10 days te comme ni nga ko waxee laylatul qadr ñëpp a ngi guddi bu high everybody wants to get hold of it so during soo nekkee si sa period nga nekk jigéen naka nga make sure yee nga am the same reward that keneen ki nga xam ne nekkut si mu ngi jaamu yàlla normal maanaam julli and di def yeneen yi pour ngeen mun a am the same reward during that period lan mooy sa alternative
waaw xam nga ki nekk ci période julli lañ ko tere ak laal alxuraan bi
waaw
maanaam julli ak laal alxuraan bi ak or waaye leneen li des yëpp tere wuñ ko
maanaam zikir yi
mun ngaa déglu sax alxuraan buy jàng mun nga koo déglu waaye laylatul xadr bi dafa am woot yu ndaw maanaam baat yu tuuti yu Aïcha laajoon yonent bi ne ko buñ demee ba gis ne bési laylatul xadr yaakaar nañ ne tey la wala njorta nañ ne tey la lan lañ moo ñu ci war lu ñu war a def mu ne ko na nga wax rek allahumma innaka afuwun karimun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni wala allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni maanaam baat yu gàtta la yoo xam ne mun nga koo mokkal soo ko saajee tamit soo googulee di nga ko mun a gis nga mun ko réciter ba nga munal ko sa bopp ngay wax baat yooyu ngay wax astaghfirullah ngay wax laa ilaha illallah subhanallah walhamdulillah wala ilaha illallah wallahu akbar boo ci wax rek yaa ngi jaamu yàlla ci moment boobu yaa ngi di nga am comme li nit
the equal reward that keneen di am
la ñoo am yëpp moom ngay am so loolu moo tax amut kenn maanaam l'islam xañut kenn ak xam pour nga am yàlla bi nga nekkutee bi nga setutee sax mun ngaa jaamu yàlla waxuma laa nag bi nga setee kon loolu moo ci nekkoon am na li nga xam ne bëggoon naa ko leeral dama ko junjoon rek ci suñu last programme
waaw
ci li nga xam ne dina yàq sa koor te expect loo woon ne dafa yàq sa koor
foofu laa bëggoon na ñëw sax lu sensitive la
waaw dama waxoon ne lépp loo xam ne jaar na ci sa purax bi te yaa ko tey maanaam yaa ko jublu yaa bëgg pour lu wan na dafa am yu ci bokkut yoo xam ne xataayi time bi taxoon na mënuñ ko explain benn bi mooy taflit sa tuflit yu nekk ci sa biir gémmiñ gi nga won na ko taxut sa koor yaaxu nosaan nga soccu ndoxi nga soccu ak soccu bu wow maanaam taxut sa koor yaaxu waaye su fekkee ne nag banti soccu bi yu fa nekk yëpp da nga ko dog ngir nga won na ko boobu yaaxa na sa koor
mooy bu tooy bi
waaw bu tooy bi ak bu wow bi yëpp banta bi si boppam soo ko wannee ngir internal yaa ko bugg a wan boobu dafa yaaxa sa koor soo jigéen bi nga xam ne mu ngee togga mu jël loxoom def si cinam pour mos ndax xorom bi saf na
kii dama ko óoluwut sama daf dee mosantu daf dee mosantu
mos lañu wax
daf dee mosantu kii
waaw si laameñ bi rek lañu wax de
waaw
la moo em su fa emee da nga fiil ne saf na nga tufliwaat loolu boobu yaaxut sa koor waaye nag soo defee yëfi yette jàllo ko
comme moom daf dee mos de
maa si Aliou Dia suñu
kudu la dee jël kudu la dee mosee
dee tibba même
kudu la dee mosee
di dugal ko loolu yaaxut koor
waaw
understand ngay soccoo bant bu tooy wala nga soccoo toothpaste yaaxut koor waaye sip nañ ko mooy tere nañ la ko atool
toothpaste de
comme toothbrush bi nga def fa paste bi di brosse
waaw yaaxut ko waaye nag dañ ko aaye dañ ko tere parce que danja la ndax nooy def ba nga mucc si cafka bi jàll ci sa biir wax bi loolu lu jafe la te soo ko defee mun sa koor yaaxu na lii saf si paste bi yëpp su ci amee loo wan rek yaaxu na te yow mënuloo contrôle
mënuloo garanti loolu
soo moo tax dañ la ko tere
wëccu nag
wëccu su fekkee internaloo maanaam nekku ne yaa dugal sa loxo bi génne boobu yaaxut koor am na nag ay explanation yu sew su fekkee ne bi nga wëccoo am na lu génn ba si sa biir gémmiñ gi mu delluwaat ifin doo tayuloo wëccu bi boobu dafa yaaxa sa koor su fekkee ne nag yow yaa jël sa loxo bi nga dugal ko si sa biir gémmiñ bi pour wëccu boobu su fekkee dara delluwul sax sa koor bi yaaxu na
waaw dama dee dégg tamit dañ dee wax ne soo wëccoo sax fekk teyuloo ko sax continuer sa or bi waaye bés boobu da nga ko war a fay
su fekkee dara delluwut su fekkee dara li nga doon wëccu dara delluwaatut génn ba si sa gémmiñ bi mu delluwaat da yaaxut sa koor bi doo ko fay
waaye thank you so much dafa mel ni time bi moom jaamu nañu pare waaye maybe we have 1 minute lan nga bëgg a hit na put across rek si lu ñoo jeexal si ni 10 days yi
waaw li ma cee wax rek mooy maa ngi wax jigéen ñi ne weeru koor ak suma mbokki góor ñi maa ngi leen a wax ne weeru koor weeru opportunity la nañu góorgóorlu gaawantu parce que gis ngeen ni 10 days yi rombe romba bi mu la romba nii nag fees soo caaxaanee rek second 10 days bi dina la romba te doo ko yëg naka noonu tamit taat bi kon li la rawoon from tey ñaari fan moo des ci 10 days yi dabaatal ko nga góorgóorlu ci loo mun ci jaamu yàlla ba pare nit ñi yokka tamit di dimbalante parce que ren at bi dafa xala métti pauvreté dafa bari nit ñi dañ soona dañ am jafe-jafe ñi mun tuuti nañ génn ci weeru koor bi def ni Mohamed Ja def génn li nga am nga mun see siya ak nit ñi nga mun see pàccoo ak nit ñi loolu daal lañ doon def
waaye balaa ñoo dem xaw ma ndax Lido TV bi da ngay try Lido TV da nga ko war a try de
waaw danaa ko dem
waaw yii ngeen war a try soo leen dogee rek ku bugg a coffee mu def si coffee Lido bi Olinda baa ngi nii am na bu green bi am na bu yellow bi wala sooy dem si gaamo bi nga yóbbuwaale
waaw man xam nga tii moom suma dama ko bugga
da nga ko bugga kañ
waaw te xam naa ne lii ma gis nii
waaw
ku ko mos doo
ko bàyyi de waaw man moo tax man xoola moom ñoom seen generation yi Islamic people yi moo tax ñu neex ma you know they have that show they have the chill but thank you so much ba pare tamit su weesoo loolu OIC Summit bi ñu ngi sponsor programme bi tamit te xam naa ne loolu tamit am ngeen si taxawaay OIC Summit bi di am si Gambia bi waaw
lu am solo la lu yëkkati daraja Gambia la te ma wax la seen programme bi dafa sori ci àdduna bi
dëgg la
yéen a ngi am benn fans bu nekk Ndar ñu di ko wax Mamadou.
waaw
daf leen a toppa daf leen a seetaan ba pare su paree daf dee comment daf ma dee wax observation su yu am lan la gis su ko defee yónnee ñu ko kon mu mel ni sori na fu nekk la ci àdduna so su OIC ñëwee support programme bi dina gën a dooleel ñoom seen préparation bi ak seen waajaay bi te ñu bàyyi xel ne jotaay la boo xam ne Gambie bénéfice na ci lu bare
jërëjëf dafa mel ni loolu rek lañ am si time so ba ëllëg incha allah su ko defee ñu gën a yaatal waxtaan bi Julde bàyyil mos bi nag jël kuddu di mos daganaluñ ko waaw si laamañ la war a em waaye jël kuddu di mos daal jël kuddu di jël kuddu di mos alaawuñ ko so ba ëllëg incha allah thank you so much for watching.
Lady Gambia non hebi weltare maunde waɗande on OIC Summit hikka woni laabi sappo e joyi ɓe ɗum mbaɗa he aduna he ngal dental waɗat balɗe nayyi ha balɗe joyi he lewru mai hitande 2024 lamɓe hooreɓe leyɗele ndewɓe hooreɓe leyɗele wondi hen e capanɗe joyi e jeeɗiɗi woɗɓe garnoɓe leyɗele mumen ndenduɓe he Organisation of Islamic Cooperation ɓe tawtoyte ɗum he nder leydi men wonat noon ko yejjittake ha abadan hikka noon ngal dental koɓe jewtata hen ko woni no jaam ñiɓirta darde nde poɗɗen daro ha gonen gotum en fof jaaden pour ɓamtare men ɓeydare hakkude men he kulle yahotiral he leyɗele julɓe he e he aduna he fof ɓe noddan noon ɓiɓɓe leydi Gambia fof en fof garen gonen gotum ballen laamu ngu e nder darde nde ɓe daari ha ngal dental waɗanino ɓe jiɗiri ɗum gare jaɓɓoɗen ɓe hoɓɓe tedduɓe kollen ɓe cosaneji men aadaji men e leydi men no weydiri e aduna he gare ndenten e o taari daroɗen enen fof ha ngal dental OIC mbaɗat ngal ɗo he leydi Gambia wona dental ngal yejjittake.
صليا يا إلهي